How's it going, everyone? I'm Salzy, and today I'm going to be talking about some things you should know before you smoke weed. But before we dive in, I want to address the gameplay. If you're looking at your screen and wondering if we suddenly transported back to 2007, we are still, unfortunately, in 2022. I remember really getting into this game when I was young. It's just a fun, mindless game to play, and I finally bought it on my computer so I can relive my childhood. Obviously, the quality of the graphics is pretty low, but it's still an enjoyable game despite this. If you have some more game recommendations, please leave them in the comments below. Now back to the video. This video is mainly made for people considering trying weed for the first time, but I also hope this video offers insight for people who already do smoke weed. This information has helped me maximize the benefits of smoking weed, and I hope I can share this information and it will help you too. For some context, I use weed for chronic pain, but this video is not made just for other people with chronic pain. I'll use my own experience using weed to show what has helped and hurt the process. But let's just dive in. If you've never smoked weed before, I want to lay down some groundwork. Being high is a different experience for every person, but in general you should expect a few things. Being high will probably not completely incapacitate you. The world around you will not completely change. Obviously, weed is not going to make you hallucinate or give you any visuals. I mean, there are some rare cases of this happening, but it's super uncommon, and as long as you don't smoke a very large amount of weed, you shouldn't expect anything of that sort. What you should expect is to feel a body high and a mind high. Most people report feeling less muscle tension and a calm body feeling, and mentally people report feeling less anxious, calmer, and in a better mood. But I'm sure you've heard all of this before. What I really want to talk about is some specific feelings that you might get while high, and I want to explain how to go into a high with the right mindset. When I first got high, I made a few mistakes that made the experience a little uncomfortable. Of course, at the time, I didn't know what being high feels like. During my highs, I would kind of come in and out of consciousness. I was awake but not fully present in reality, if that makes sense. I also lost a lot of cognitive abilities like memory and the ability to hold a conversation. This kind of freaked me out at the time. Suddenly not being able to mentally function in a normal way was surprising. Looking back, I really should have expected it, but the extent at which I lost some of these capabilities was more dramatic than I initially thought. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't terrible. I wasn't sitting around, drool coming out of my mouth. I just didn't feel like I was in a pleasant state of mind. After getting high many times, I learned a few key things that make my highs more enjoyable and more effective. So, I've come up with my number one rule of getting high, and that one rule is to accept my state of mind no matter how impaired it was. This rule might seem silly or too simple of a rule, but it really works for me. When I'm about to get high, I have to remind myself to say to myself, I'm about to get high, and this means my mental state will be impaired. I will have trouble with my memory, I will have trouble firing on all cylinders, and that is okay. Once you accept the changes in your mental state and recognize what is going to happen to you when your high will go much smoother. Instead of spending your entire high noticing every little thing you can't do, you can let loose and enjoy the process. I use my highs as a kind of mindfulness and meditation. Noticing how my mind and body react to weed from start to finish gives me some really good perspective. After I smoke, I use the first few minutes to notice the high getting stronger. I feel the way my muscle tension releases and my mind clears. This can be the best part of the high because this change happens really quickly, especially if I smoke or vape. I have a solid 20-ish minutes where my high is increasing in strength, and I can just sit down, not do anything, and just let myself notice the changes. During my high, I try to spend some time with my thoughts. I put down my phone, I don't watch TV, I don't listen to music. I just sit down with my thoughts, and I don't do this for crazy amounts of time, just 10 to 20 minutes every so often to assess where my mind and body are at. This might seem stupid or pointless to some, but embracing your high and doing things like this helps you get a better, more thoughtful experience. Like I said a minute ago, I use weed for chronic pain, and really taking some time to notice how my pain responds to weed is useful. Taking these times to meditate will allow me to realize how my pain is affected, but it also gives me some time to appreciate the one thing that alleviates my pain. This experience with weed makes me grateful to have something that offers relief. If you also use weed for chronic illness, in my opinion, noticing how it affects you can sometimes even increase the benefits. Not only do you take notice of your condition, it can also guide you on how to change your experience. Maybe you notice that you took too much or too little, and you realize that, and you can change your dose next time. Then, when I realize I'm coming down from my high, I also take notice of how this feels. Sometimes coming out of a high can be a relief. I know that I've had times when I have taken too much weed and I regretted it. Other times I notice myself having trouble coming out of a high because I start to experience my full pain level. Most often I find myself coming out of a high and experience a slow increase in my pain levels as I revert back to my normal state. At this point I reassure myself by saying something like, I'm beginning to come out of my high, I will start to feel more pain. But what's important is that I had some pain relief, even if it only lasted an hour. I begin to appreciate those small moments in my day when my pain is much lower. I'm saying all of this to say that I think it's important to be aware of your mind and body. Having awareness will help you both in the moment and for the next time you get high. This sort of meditative state, I guess, has definitely improved my cannabis consumption. I relax more, I feel happier, and I see more relief. Everyone is different, so this method may seem trivial to some, but from my experience, I would highly recommend you try this mindfulness technique at least once or twice. You might be surprised by the difference it makes. I recently uploaded a video on what being high feels like, so if you are interested in a more in-depth look at the mind and body changes you may experience while high, I would suggest that you watch that video. I think this video and that video kind of go hand in hand. I'm interested to know if you have any of your own techniques that you use to improve your highs, so please leave a comment below. If you think this video is bullshit and you completely disagree with me, I encourage you to also respond in the comments. Like I said, this might not work for you specifically. But anyways, I wanted to put out this video because this was a really pivotal moment in my cannabis journey. I think I'm going to end this short video here because I don't want to draw this out too long. If you do like what you see and are interested in my opinions, experiences, and stories, feel free to subscribe. With all that said, thank you for watching and I will see you next time.